Good morning. Welcome. Everyone's so excited. I'm Jody, and I'm the head of school. I'm going to ask that we start by shutting off our cell phones so that we can be really focused here in this moment. I think our sixth graders are coming in for a second, but not sure. Oh, yep, here they come. I wanted to take a moment to thank our sixth grade hosts who help us get into our seats today. Thank you, sixth graders. And you can take your seats. There they go. So we were hoping to fit all the sixth graders, but we've had such a positive response for both these teas. They're absolutely full. So unfortunately, they're not able to sit with us today, which is a bummer. Let's wait for this transition. So let's settle our bodies, fully arrive, and have a moment of silence. Each year, we choose a school theme as a way to frame our ongoing inquiry into the intent of the school as articulated by our founder. This year's theme is the wholeness of responsibility. In one of the letters to the schools, our founder, Krishnamurti, shares total responsibility is love. This responsibility is not for a particular nation, group, or community, or for your own guru, but for all humankind. All the speakers you will hear today were given provocations around this theme from the teachings, which has informed their remarks. The first of such speakers today is our MC, a senior who has served as the editor of our student newspaper for the past 2 years, president of the film club, sponsor to Saturday Chess in Libby Park, and a key member of our basketball and volleyball teams. Welcome, Surya Pulapati.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Surya, and I've been going to Oak Grove since 6th grade, and I haven't regretted it since. I used to live in Northern California, and when we visited Oak Grove, apparently I said, "My heart wants me to stay in the Bay Area, but my gut is telling me to move here." My mom loves to quote me on that, so if I didn't say that, you might have had to hear it from her another 10 times today. Please take a moment to look at the program in front of you. On the inside cover is today's program. And next is the menu. We are also highlighting 2 of our alumni, Genevieve Walcher, class of 2005, who is the Director of Giving at Lotus Outreach International, and Jason Waters, a lecturer at the Australian National University and a lead researcher on quantum metaethics. I can't explain to you what quantum metaethics is, but I do encourage you to read about these 2 impressive alumni in the program. Towards the back, you will find the financials from 2022 to 2023. You can see that we gave over $900,000 in financial aid last year, making it possible for dozens of families to attend Oak Grove who otherwise would not have been able to afford to attend here. Today, we are hopeful that the contributed income will surpass what we were able to raise last year. Of course, that is only possible with your help. Let me take this opportunity to thank our present board members, Oak Grove School board members. Please stand. Next, I would like to thank all of those who made this event possible, our table captains, maintenance staff, and Oak Grove chefs, Julia, Tabitha, and our newest member of our kitchen team, Alex. Please take a moment and look around and notice the decorations. Join me in thanking our decoration committee for all the hard work in preparation for this event. Thank you, Maura Tarmi, Jennifer Moran, Nancy Opitz-Sims, and Jennifer Wing. I also want to give a big thank you to Kirsten Kuhn, who served as the Uber coordinator for the entirety this year. Thank you, Kirsten. This year's theme is the wholeness of responsibility. And this theme seems perfect to me in that it mirrors my experience here. I've been learning about what my responsibility looks like when related to my mind, my body, my community, and most importantly, the wholeness of responsibility I have for the entire world. Krishnamurti says, responsibility is for the whole. As the word implies, not for oneself, not for one's family, not for some concepts or beliefs, but for the whole of mankind. Sometimes I'll have zero clue what Krishnamurti is saying. I'll read a paragraph and realize I've processed none of it. So correct me if I'm wrong, given my apprehension that I actually understand what he's saying. The way I interpret this is that the first step to accepting one's duty in the world is to accept that one is not separate from the world, and therefore responsible for all of it, which begins right here, my community. We all have to start small and then go big. How can we be expected to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders? After all, I can barely carry the weight of my backpack on my shoulders. This is a very small school. I love saying my class sizes to new people I meet just for the looks of confusion on their faces. I mean, my parents went to schools with class sizes of over 500. Although small, this school is a complete ecosystem, reflective of the wider world. We have close relationships with the students and adults here, and with that, we can directly see our impact on those relationships. And part of that comes with our responsibility to those people and keeping our relationships whole. We must hold ourselves up to the standards of accepting our roles. Through grades 6 through 12, I've learned that this school functions best when all of us are doing our part. In 7th grade, we went to Moab, kayaking in the Colorado River. I hated the outdoors back then, but I had to do my part. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to get to our next destination. I had to paddle so that my class wasn't slowing down. At the height of COVID, we all had to do our task of being safe and not letting our school down. At our Refugio high school camping trip, I've tried to break the talent show ice by making a joke so that everyone feels that much more comfortable. I remember one time talking to prospective Oak Grove parents. They were asking me how my experience has been. After we talked, they said that if their kids turned out anything like me, they would be happy. I've thought about this compliment many times. Perhaps their children are like me. I believe growing up at Oak Grove and learning about my responsibility and my place in my community has given me both clarity and humility about my impact on this world. Right now, my community is this school and this town, but after I graduate, my community will expand. And however large my community becomes, I will bring what I've learned here with me, and that includes a deep understanding of my impact on the world. I want to thank you for being patient with the yummy food placed in front of you. You do not have to wait any longer. Now we will take a few moments to serve you breakfast. My fellow senior class will be serving you. Enjoy.
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place. With my own two hands, make it a kinder place. With my own two hands, with my own two
Thank you to the Oak Grove Choir for that beautiful song. And thank you to Julia Zonick and Eric Sullivan for working with these sixth graders, along with the high school musicians. So can we just... I also want to thank you, Joel Keeler, Director of Advancement, along with the outreach team for all the work you put into that film. Now we are going to listen to some personal reflections on Oak Grove as it relates to this year's theme of the wholeness of responsibility. First, we will hear from Mary Kelly, sixth grade homeroom teacher, range teacher, and advisor to the elementary and middle school student councils. Mary is deeply inspired by the teachings of Krishnamurti, so much that she had to cut multiple pages from her speech just to meet the 4-minute maximum time limit. Please welcome Mary.
I am privileged to be learning alongside the delightful sixth grade and senior students who are hosting this special event for you here today. This is my 10th year at Oak Grove School, and I can honestly say that being a part of this wonderful learning environment continues to feel to me like a dream come true, to have found a worthy vocation and purpose in my life. While that may sound like a mere cliche, I assure you there's real truth in the specialness of this beautiful place, which daily enchants, mystifies, and humbles me, as I'm sure that many of you have also had occasion to experience in your own unique ways. Here I really do experience learning and awakening of understanding in the fullest sense, and thereby I feel the invitation to share that essential exploration with all of you here. Now, while we may all have our own abiding sense of what sets Oak Grove apart from other places of learning, I personally would emphasize the unique fact that our school was founded and nurtured by a truly wise man, J. Krishnamurti, who blessed us with his incomparable teachings for over 6 decades. It is in the spirit of those radical life teachings that we here strive to discover what it is to teach the whole child, and we question those methods that reduce human potential to mere relative increments. From our founder, we have learned to approach education from the vantage point of not knowing, which can open up naturally into a new revolutionary awakening that Kay so beautifully evoked by the image of a flowering of goodness. For here at Oak Grove School, that is in fact the challenge of our special responsibility to society, to the whole world of our fellow human beings, and to all of nature. Indeed, it was for that very reason that Kay founded our school in the first place, as a hope of defying our conditioned tendency to compete and struggle to achieve separate personal success. Kay made it clear that he abhorred the idea of any kind of institution, but he deliberately made an exception when it came to schools, because he realized that limited and imperfect though an actual school might be, yet the only way that human consciousness could ever get a chance to actually transform itself holistically, to perfectly blossom, would have to be through the spontaneous awakening of innocent, ever-eager minds of children, who with the help of wise and loving adults might somehow come upon an altogether different way of living. Because when we refer to this year's theme, the wholeness of responsibility, we are in fact touching on the essentially religious nature of the education Kay insisted we provide. Not religious in the organized sense of the term, but rather the awakening in the child of his or her own inalienable goodness or wholeness, which is what Kay meant by holiness. And how do we go about teaching the wholeness of responsibility to our children in such a way that we're not falling to the partial approach, so often taken to being, as we say, responsible for something, As I already pointed out, Krishnamurti challenges our conditioned approach to education by suggesting that we approach the truth by discovering first and foremost what the truth is not. When it comes to responsibility, he said,
if one understands the actual meaning of the word responsible and what goes on in the world today, one sees that responsibility has become irresponsible. In understanding what is irresponsible, we will begin to comprehend what responsibility is.
Thank you, Miles. This radical invitation to keep our eyes open to the ways in which we are acting irresponsibly is precisely why I know I am here in a place of true learning, because I am being challenged continuously to unlearn that which I falsely believe to be true. Only when I can see where I am being irresponsible, where I have made acting rightly into an imposed burden, can intelligent action have its own movement through me. Perhaps this is why Kay refers to the wholeness of responsibility as overpowering love or compassion. I, for one, am so grateful and happy to find myself in a place where I can responsibly live out my journey of discovery in a mission of wholeness to the world. And I hope you'll join me along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Our next speaker is OGS alum Duncan Weinkoff, who is a current parent to June in kindergarten and Lucius in 3rd grade. Duncan is a commercial film director at Object and Animal who has spent many years working in video and film. He is now focusing his energies on commercial and narrative work, drawing inspiration from his own poignant life experiences. From the auspicious to the beautiful to the haunting, Duncan is convinced that the craft of filmmaking is also the science of empathy.
Thank you, Surya. Good morning, everyone. My name's Duncan Weinkoff, for those who don't know me. I am a 1st through 8th grade alumni of Oak Grove during the years of 1991 to 1998. I'm also the brother to 3 Oak Grove alumni siblings, Megan, Michael, and Stuart, the latter of which having attended all the way through high school here. As Surya mentioned, I'm now the proud parent, along with my partner Selah, to a pair of beautiful brothers, 3rd grader Lucius and kindergartner June. And I'm very happy to be here today to share my thoughts from an alumni perspective on this year's themes, the wholeness of responsibility. No small subject to dwell on, of course, but in my reminiscing of my time here, something very specific bubbled to the surface. I've realized that I very much navigate the world and my place in it under one ever-returning belief that I am now just putting words to, and that was clearly informed by my time here at Oak Grove. And it is this: we, all of us here, and our children on this campus have an immense mountain-moving capacity to create our own realities, and especially so when we are very sure of exactly who we are. Perhaps this is the idea Nelson Mandela described as being the master of one's own fate, the captain of one's own soul, and what Jody has been known to remind our community of, that we can do hard things. I've had the unique privilege to live my life in chapters that all feel distinctly different from the next, and in these stark differences I can identify inflection points that stem back to the importance of individualism, a foundational way of life so gently taught here at Oak Grove. My early childhood was mostly defined by the divorce of my parents. My father, Tony, moved to Ojai, where there was a blossoming Buddhist community developing here, while my sister and I stayed in Halifax, Nova Scotia with my mother, Elizabeth. It was obviously hard on us all, this huge geographic split, and I definitely suffered from anxiety at a young age. My mother, my sister, and I moved to Ojai right around my 6th birthday, and I found myself in Carol's 1st grade classroom shortly after. The 8 years that I spent at Oak Grove were full with wonderful memories that I'll have to totally gloss over due to time constraints. But I've noticed something interesting in thinking back on my time here in broad strokes. It all felt so smooth to me, especially in the face of the fact that not much else had at the time. It seemed like the teachers, the educational framework, the philosophy were in tune with my nature. I was completely supported in my yet-to-be-identified quest of just being me. I went on to Thatcher for high school, and while I also have great memories there, it was quite the opposite experience. It did not at all feel natural or easy in the way Oak Grove had, and I had noticed ongoing pressures to fit in or excel in some sort of grand way. Instead of driving myself mad to keep up academically, I'm realizing now that I very much assumed the role of an observer there in the very intense environment that it was. I latched onto the stories being lived by my friends, watched them study through the night, and rooted them on while staying a bit removed from it all. I didn't feel the pressure to ace every exam or to get into an Ivy League school. That instinct guided me towards a challenge that, when I look back, was again most in tune with my nature, horsemanship. I spent all 4 years there on horseback, and I thrived in that role, something so special and so different from anything I had experienced before. Cam Shriver, our horse-whispering riding instructor there, was the only one who wrote my college recommendations, and maybe the first and only time a student asked him to do so. At 19, I moved to New York, and very much continued in this role as an observer of people and stories, touched and impressed by so many things. In retrospect, I spent a good 10 years in a flurry of fun, unknowns, a bit of danger, exploring the city and myself for the next challenge that was in tune with my nature. It was the ultimate buffet of life choices, and I definitely took my time to enjoy it thoroughly. When I was finally ready to settle into something real, two things auspiciously emerged simultaneously: filmmaking and family. I started a commercial directing career off the back of my younger brother, who went to film school at NYU, and met Selah right around the same time. I knew instantly that both were for me, Selah and filmmaking, because they both came with the same natural ease and harmony that I felt at Oak Grove and on my horse. We were pregnant with Lucius 6 months later. Family and filmmaking are similar in many ways, believe it or not. They require constant self-reflection and self-starting, being both inside oneself and outside oneself at the same time, and most importantly, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, holding your mind. They often feel like impossible endeavors, and the ongoing experience of both have time and time again softened me. And this brings me right back to Oak Grove, both in story and in reality, as I knew I wanted my kids to go here and learn about themselves the way that I did. The wholeness of responsibility, to me, is seeing your reflection in your own capacity to do seemingly impossible things, and in your own way. Taking on the challenge of being wholly responsible for your time here in this body, finding thrill and excitement in pushing yourself towards the things that call you, and only you, in a spirited way. Owning your universe and setting your standard for your quality of life, working diligently to maintain and further that life for yourself, your family, and your community. But that reflection and responsibility all begins with knowing and believing in your individuality, your unique self, and the gifts that only you can give. Oak Grove celebrates and supports individualism. Confident individualism begets fearless living practices. Fearlessness puts you in touch with your great capacity. Wholeness of responsibility is honoring that capacity and your own profound existence. So here we are, asking for you to check in with your capacity and the wholeness of your responsibility, and let's see what we can muster up. Thank you.
Next, we have the privilege of hearing from Charlie Walton, parent to Vera in kindergarten, Goldie in 4th, and Clementine in 6th grade. Charlie is a clinical psychologist and adjunct professor in the clinical psychology department at Pacifica Graduate Institute. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, Surya. Good morning, everyone. I was honored to be invited by Jody to speak today on this year's theme of the wholeness of responsibility. In full disclosure, when Jody tried to reach me months ago about this tea, she sent me multiple emails through Parent Square to no avail. It seems that I was relying too heavily on my wife, Lily, to be our dedicated Parent Square reader. I have since changed the errors of my ways, but you've been forewarned that I may be a dubious speaker for responsibility. Nonetheless, I'm here now, so let's give it a try. Every day, I feel fortunate that Lily grew up here in Ojai and that her parents found Oak Grove, because she in turn introduced me to this very special town. And when it came time to decide where our girls would attend school, Lily rather decisively gave me no choice. I'm joking, of course. I did have some choice as to the education of our children, and that decision was very important to me. Both of my parents are educators. My father was an elementary school teacher, and my mother was a middle school tutor. I was a freshman in high school before I attended a single day of school where one of my parents wasn't there. My aunts, uncles, grandparents were professors, headmasters, and educators of all other sorts. We were an educator's family, and education, to be educated, was among the highest principles. So thank you to all of you among us who have chosen to teach our children as your vocation. So as you might imagine, Krishnamurti also had a high estimation of teachers. In his letters to his schools, he wrote, "Teaching is the greatest profession in life." But as you read further, what you find is that Krishnamurti's idea of teaching is not simply the cultivation of knowledge. He continues, "Our intent is far more important than to achieve a goal, an end. It is not just towards an intellectual and ideological conclusion, but is an active, living present. Our vital flame of intent is to bring about a good, intelligent, extremely capable, free human being." And finally, he states, "The school exists primarily to bring about a profound transformation in human beings." That, the profound transformation of human beings, is the wholeness of our responsibility. No pressure, teachers. Just the profound transformation of our children. So how does this happen? The plain but anything but simple answer is love. Our job as teachers and parents is to cultivate love. And we do that by making children feel safe and supported. We do that by cultivating hearts. As it said on the banner that hung outside the entrance a month ago, peace is of the heart, not of the mind. And that is what I experience when I come to Oak Grove. I experienced it when Lily brought me here before we had children. And I experience it when I do myself the favor of slowing down. I experience teachers. When I arrive on campus, I experience teachers, parents, groundskeepers, chefs, administrators, cultivating a listening heart. Slow to the pace of your hearts, which move at a much different rhythm than our excited minds. I say this to myself as well, slow to the pace of our hearts. When we do that, I think we give ourselves the best opportunity to bring about the profound transformation of human beings that Krishnamurti called for. Not just our children, but ourselves. I still believe that to be educated is among the highest principles in life. But since moving here to Ojai, since my children began at Oak Grove, I understand differently what it means to be educated and how the cultivation of listening hearts is an enormous responsibility, but also a joyous one. Thank you all.
Thank you. And now please welcome our head of school, Jody Grass. And if you didn't already know her, I'd be concerned.
Wow, it's been a lot already. As I shared at the opening, Krishnamurti wrote, "Total responsibility is love." And he said that responsibility is for all of humankind, not part of it. Recently, Carrie, one of our preschool teachers, shared a humorous story that kind of points to our theme, and it's also just really cute. They set up a celebration table to acknowledge Dove, one of the 3-year-olds. Milo, another 3-year-old, was having a bit of a struggle. So Carrie, in an effort to redirect him, asked if he wanted to make a card for Dove. Milo said, "Yes, I do." A minute later, they were walking toward the celebration table, and he pointed to a painted rock and said, "I love that painted rock, and I just love Dove so much." After they began to make the card, Carrie said, "What do you want to write in your card to Dove?" And Milo said, "Tell her I love her so much." As Carrie began to write the words in the card, Milo said, "Carrie, I don't know who Dove is." So this is an adorable story. And yes, it also points to something larger. Each of us have certainly felt the rushing feeling of love without direct relationship or connection to the actual object of that love. I think about my deep sense of love I feel when I watch adorable baby animal videos. What we know is watching cute animal videos releases dopamine and triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone known as the love hormone. But do we understand exactly what triggered this biochemical reaction in the first place? It seems that our ability to understand love is limited. I wonder if it's even possible to understand through thought, language, or words. We may not be able to truly understand love with our minds or with our thinking, yet we know love. A first grader delicately holding a ladybug in search of a safe place to return it to nature. The glow of light, where a colleague remains working in an office or a classroom in the darkness of night, long after the campus is emptied. Making a card expressing love for a friend, even if we can't exactly remember who they are. The late Bell Hooks, author, theorist, and educator, said to begin by always thinking of love as an action rather than a feeling is a way that anyone using the word in this manner automatically assumes accountability and responsibility. I witness this response born out of love on our campus every day. Our ability to respond to the needs of the whole child is at the center of everything we do here, where the human structures are kept in balance with the natural environment, where adults and children see children as competent individuals, where students are given opportunities within the learning day to sit in silence, reflect on their own thinking, inquire into perennial questions, and actively engage in the natural environment, where teaching and learning are not transactional. It's not teachers filling students' heads, but a relationship where the teacher is also the student and the student teacher, where students are challenged by rigorous academics and learn functional knowledge through both conventional and progressive approaches to education, where they are learning in a place that offers constant skill building around conflict resolution, communication, self-awareness, responsibility for our shared planet. Here, students are not just known by their teachers. They are known by all staff, including the kitchen, front office, and maintenance workers. Imagine what kind of world we would live in if all people understood our relationship to and therefore responsibility to all of life. Imagine a world where we felt a sense of love and connection to the stranger tailgating us, the neighbor who has opposing political views, the person experiencing homelessness, the immigrant, the river, the tree. Today, I'm asking you to join us in our shared responsibility to act together as stewards for this amazing school. Over the past few years, through donation support, we've been able to double what we've been able to give in financial aid. However, the rising cost of everything, particularly here in this valley, with many of our families out of work and the natural disasters tripling insurance rates, we need your support more than ever. We must both stretch our financial aid to support our growing needs within our current families and also to continue to make Oak Grove accessible to a widening economic diverse community. The rising cost of living has also impacted our staff and faculty. Over the past several years, we have worked hard to bring up our pay scale in line with other schools of similar size, and we are grateful for what we've been able to do. But we need to continue to increase salaries and benefits to keep pace with the cost of housing, food, and services here in the Valley and in surrounding communities. We have many campus projects which cannot happen without your support. We continue to improve our learning tools and our professional resources, which also includes needed improvements to the physical learning environments in both indoor and outdoor classrooms. With your support, we want to take the next steps in reimagining a comprehensive gardening and agricultural program, demonstrating regenerative practices with a deep integration of STEM. Please join me today in supporting Oak Grove School. Thank you.